Good evening, friends, followers, channel members. Well, you voted, so we're doing retro flights again this evening. If you didn't vote, then welcome. Yeah, on our Discord server tonight, I said if we manage to get a live stream into this evening, which thankfully it seems we are, then we have the chance of obviously doing real ops in the Airbus, or we could be back doing retro ops in the PMDG 737. And just before I came on, let's have a quick look. Oh yeah, so a vote of 81 to 65 in the 737's favour. So here we are, Newcastle to Brussels, with some fantastic scenery for both airports. Orbex Newcastle and Aerosoft's Brussels, of course. Means I've got to think a little bit more doing these retro flights, as the 737 isn't user friendly for me compared to the Airbus, but I think slowly but surely we are getting there, I think. Right, good evening everyone who's come on board. If you're watching on YouTube, then the operational flight plan has been pinned in the chat, so you can go on ahead and grab that. Welcome to our viewers on Twitch as well, if you're viewing on Twitch. Who have we got then getting on board nice and early this evening? Let's see. So let's welcome on board Aviation Moo, Danny, Nick, Simon, Josh, Vladimir, James. This is where I normally miss someone, so I'm so sorry. Jonathan, Lee, Sim Enthusiast, hello as well. Danny, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I enjoy the 737? And be honest. Do you know what? It's not the 737, I think, per se, that I really enjoy. I think what I do enjoy is the challenge of it, and I'm having to think a little bit more. I must admit, I'm finding it not easy, that's not the right phrase, but easier than I expected. Of course, we're not doing real ops, we're a long way from that. But when I compare this to the CRJ, then I find I could not get my head around some of the stuff in the CRJ. But there we are. Ollie, we're not on any server, mate. I'm still learning, so we're definitely. It's going to be a while before we take this out on VATSIM. Jonathan, the Ryanair is pushing back. Yes, so we're not on any server. What you're seeing now is live traffic, guys. So that's what you're seeing with regards to any traffic in the simulator this evening. Frank, good evening. Ryan, good evening. Terry, good evening. Tom, Ollie's Block Gamer, and JM Aviation, hello. Right, so let's jump on board then, shall we? Now, realistically, the aircraft should be, for this time of day, it would most likely not be cold and dark. It would have done some flights, obviously, but at the moment, my aircraft is set up cold and dark, so there we go. You know, I instinctively just went over here looking for a tablet, but there isn't one. Simon asked, what is the meaning of real ops? So real ops basically means that in the Airbus, thanks to some wonderful tuition, we can do we fly Easyjet real ops using real world procedures. Everything's done as per the pilots do in the real world. All the flows, all the checklists, everything they do during the flight, fuel checks, all the stuff like that is done in the Airbus as they do in real life. However, I've never had a lesson, never been instructed in the 737, so I'm kind of just making this up as we go along. Dr. Magic, you're watching along in the A320. Oh, I envy you. Right, let's try and get things set up, shall we? So, let's get our batteries turned on. There we are. Batteries are on, and our emergency exit lights can come on as well. There we are. Right, the ground power unit is already connected, I believe. So let's go ahead and turn that on. There it is. And then we need to come up here for the IRS. Hang on, I need to go back out of my seat to reach up here. And we're going to pop this on nav. There we go. And the IRS up here will set to heading. Okay, let's get back in our seat. So the parking brake is on. The chock should be on the aircraft. Let's just have a look. Yep, there they are, the chocks are there, but parking brake is now set. Let's set the position lights to steady, which I think they already are. Evening, oh, where's he gone? I thought I just saw Dark Fury in the chat. Maybe I messed that up. Dr. Magic, is HD staying away because it's a Boeing? No, he's on his way somewhere. He's in the air somewhere, which is great, of course, isn't it? Right, we then need to start our flows. Just before we do that, then we can start doing all the flows and things. Let's do some FS actions. So, what have we got? Payload. So tonight, if we have a look at the operational flight plan, we have a we're quite light this evening. So we've got a payload. Zero fuel weight is 49.6. Let's enter that in here. 496. So 5 in first class. Yeah, right. We are still doing Easyjet. So that's the payload done. And let's call our ground fueling truck. Next page. Fuel for tonight. Let's have a look. So just shy of 5 tons. What's the weather doing in Brussels this evening? Oh, it's lovely, look. Lovely weather in Brussels. Not sure what's going on here. Have we got live weather turned on? What's the... has anyone got the METAR for Newcastle? I can't get that easily here in the Boeing like I can in the fly-by-wire. But this weather says ceiling should be 400 and visibility should be 3000. Looks a lot nicer than that outside. I'm sure live weather is turned on. Yeah, live weather, live time. Interesting. Anyway, let's continue looking at the forecast for Brussels. I imagine it's going to be quite nice. Cav okay, yeah, nothing to worry about. So in terms of fuel then, again, just because I'm unfamiliar with the aircraft, I'm going to throw some extra fuel on. So let's go with 5.5 tons, so 5,500 tons. Target that and request. There we go. Refueling truck has been requested, and I'm sure that'll sort it out as we go through. Right, whilst the passengers then are boarding, we can of course use self-loading cargo for that as well. So just bear with me 1 second while I get that all set up. We can tell the cabin crew, get the doors open, and start the flight. Doors are open, passengers are boarding. Okay, let's try these overhead flows. Oh, Danny, that's interesting. So winds 260 at 4, and it is Cav okay. Oh, in that case, Microsoft Flight Simulator has given us the correct information. Look at that glare. I love it when I see that in the sim. Alright, well, let's start at the top and work our way down. So, the flaps are up. Your dampener should be on. There we are. Check that light goes out. We're refueling, so let's carry on our way down here. Navigation, all of those are correct. We need to turn on the back fuel pump. Then we can get the APU started shortly. Let's come up to the next sector then. So power for the galley is on. GPU is already connected, and I think, can we get the APU bleed on? The APU is not running yet, is it? So surely we don't start the APU bleed prior to starting the APU. I don't know, that's just This is why we're not doing real ops. It's the way that we do things that's not going to that's not correct. Let me just continue working through things as I know that they work, but I don't think we get the APU bleed on until the APU is actually being started. So let's go ahead and actually start the APU now. So to do that, we need to click and hold. Whilst I'm waiting for that to start, let's go through the next line. Seatbelt signs will be on in a little while. In fact, can I just change the overhead view just there? Here we go, that's better. Right, now the there we are, the APU has started. We can see the exhaust gas temperature as well. And then the EGT drops ever so slightly. And then I think, there we go, we can now get the APU generators on. There we go. So now let's continue working our way down. We want the window heats on. Not going to need anti-ice tonight. The hydraulic pumps can come on. Again, continuing to work our way down. Doing this slowly while I'm still unfamiliar with this. We want the passenger cabin displayed up here. And then need to set the APU bleed. There we go. And now let's set our cruising altitude today, which is going to be flight level 330. And then the elevation for our landing at Brussels is 150 feet. There we are. So Danny says officially you would wait 2 minutes in real life for the APU to be stabilised before using the bleed air. Electrics you could put on directly on the APUs, they'd probably do with the bleed air. Oh right, okay, that's not too dissimilar to the Airbus then. So in the Airbus you get the APU running, leave the APU running for a minute, you can then get the bleed air on, leave that running for a minute, and then you would turn the packs on. So a minute each time. So now that we've got power there, we can go ahead and we can actually get rid of the ground power. So ground power can come off. There we are. Okay, let's come down now back to the box and start setting that up. Right. So first thing we're going to do is go to our menu FMC, and we need to do the position. So we are at Newcastle Echo Golf November Tango, and we are at gate 10, I think. Are we at gate 10? Yep. So we'll just take that position and set. Fantastic. Pavel, does this model include fault scenarios and things like that? So you can have faults turned on, faults and failures, things like that. I haven't got them turned on at the moment. I wouldn't dare, not yet. Right, let's go to the route page then. So, Echo Golf November Tango. Departing on runway 25, and our destination, of course, Echo Bravo Bravo Romeo. Flight number is Easy 34 Alpha Mike. I can't do the flight plan request because I haven't linked all the sim brief up, so we're just going to hit departure and arrival. So it is runway 25 and it's the Gurley 3 X-ray. And execute. Okay, now let's bring in the route. So let's pop in, I'm going to go and pop all this in. Just here. One of the good things about the Airbus, of course, is because I can enter it in on the tablet, I can leave this up on screen for you to see as I'm doing it, but I can't do that at the moment. Anyone know if PMDG are looking at bringing an external do onto tablets and phones and things? Because I think it's really nice when you can do that. Neil, good evening, mate. How you doing? 77 makes you appreciate the Airbus so much. Well, it does for me because I'm used to the Airbus. Right, so we then take Uniform Papa 18. From there, it's Gasco. G-A-S-K-O. From there is Uniform Yankee 250. There we go. Neil, you spent the day watching a Ryanair pilot explaining things. Fantastic. Were you in the flight deck with him? Or was that a YouTube video? If so, you're going to have to drop that video in our Discord server. I think many of us would benefit from that, myself included. Then to Mammal. Oh, I think that waypoint's quite close to where I live. Lima 603. Lamso. After Lamso, direct to Woody, which is our last waypoint before our arrival begins. Ooh, now I think it's going to be the top one. Usually it is the closest one. Yeah, it's not. None of them are that far east. Okay, so that's all done. We can go back to our departure and arrival. The arrival at Brussels is going to be the Woody 7 Alpha, and that's for the ILS runway 25 left Zulu tonight. And it's the Antwerp transition. And execute. Okay, good. That's I think that's all in now. Yep, that all looks good. All right, so on to the POSINIT page. Let's see. So, zero fuel weight, I said on the flight plan, is 49.6. There we go. Cost index of 8. Well, it is Easyjet, of course. And fuel reserves, I have loaded in 600 kilograms extra, so that's 0.6. Ooh, but with the contingency fuel already on there by default, that would be 0.8. So our cruising altitude is flight level 330. I think you can just type in 330 instead of FL330. Yes, we can. Excellent. We'll enter a cruise wind as well. Again, I have to get this from the operational flight plan. So 158 at 16. And our transition altitude on departure is 6,000 feet. Okay, done. Let's execute that. Insufficient fuel. How much fuel have we currently got on board? 2 tons. We have not got enough fuel. Why is that? Let's go back to our FS actions. Ground services. Come on, refueling trucks. What's happening? Oh, I've not pressed start. That would be why. Okay, so can we now start refueling? Now that's in place. So does it start to increase as the fuel comes into the aircraft? Yes, it does. I've just seen that go up. Mouseless, hello! You're just about to buy Microsoft Flight Simulator, so you wanted to ask what was your opinion is about buying it now. Do I recommend it, or do you buy another game? Could you tell me what the performance is like? Okay, so Mouseless, I think loads of people in the channel here could probably help you out. I certainly wouldn't, if you want it, I would not delay buying it. It's getting updated constantly. So I don't think there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't go ahead and buy it. And if you love aviation, as Neil's just said, then go for it. Definitely go for it. Right, so I'm going to continue insufficient fuel. I'm going to ignore that because it's we hadn't refueled, but we are doing now. So we're now going to go to N1 limits. Still not completely au fait with this, so I'm going to set, I think it's 40. Just there. We're going to have full power and it's noise abatement 2. So that's all set. So on to the takeoff page, it's going to be flaps 5 for departure and our CFG 23.1. Oh, interesting. If this is what it is right now on the aircraft, if we're currently still refueling, I bet that is going to change. Let me just see. Yes, look. So we need to be fully refueled before I can go ahead and get our CFG. Then we can do our speeds and things. So what I will do is, whilst I'm waiting for the fuel to be popped in, let's go and set our squawk to 220. Actually, it shouldn't be 2200. It should be 2000. There we go. The transponder is set. So, great thing about having two separate McDo's. They're not McDo's, are they? Flight management computers in Boeing. But the great thing about that is you can use the left-hand one for sort of setting things up in the simulator, etc. You can use the right-hand one for all your maintenance page, your traffic services, that kind of thing. So having both is really useful. Just watching the fueling, still another ton to go. Mouseless says you've earned yourself. Oh, no problem, Mouseless. Thanks very much for that. Hope you are well. Hope you're going to enjoy the flight with us as well today. So yeah, I can't get accurate V-speed until this is sorted. And obviously our gross rate is increasing as our fuel increases, which means that our V-speeds are obviously going to change as well. So let's go and set up the FCU as it is in an Airbus. Our initial climb out today is flight level 80. QNH is 1019, I think. Double check that. Yeah, 1019. See, I'm still using SimSmart, which is for the A320, just to get all the information that I need. Mouseless, there you go. Thank you for the sub. So 1019 on the altimeter. $270, 270. Our departure runway heading today is, need the Navigraph charts again for that. Departure runway heading is 246. There we go. And I can't select V2 just yet until that's all sorted. So, how's our refueling truck doing? Excellent, refueling is done. So now let's calculate the CG again. And there's our gross weight, and we've got some V-speeds. Digital Flight Deck, hiya mate, how you doing? Long time no see. And Christian7 on Twitch, thank you so much for the follow. Digital says, hey there, Easyjet, back in the 737 again, eh? A new favourite perhaps. Just dropped in to wish us a good flight. Oh no, Digital, I already have my favourite. I already have my favourite. Right, that's the box then. I think now all set up. Tell you what I didn't do while I was up here. Let's get the flight directors 1 and 2 turned on. We've done the transponder. Let's go to our descent page, and on the forecast I need to just set the arrival transition level, which is 4,500 feet. So 045 for that. Okay, time to get rid of the ground services as we are all done. Quick way of doing that, of course, is just to remove the chocks, and then after that, that's when everything, as you can see, everything should be disconnecting. If we head outside now, we should start to see it all going. There they go, one by one.
Captain, all passengers are on board and we're finished setting up. Doors are also now closed.
That's great, thank you.
DC Gert, good evening to you. Oh no, a 737 landing in Brussels. Well, we hope so, DC. You know I'm still finding my way around the aircraft. Right, so ground services are pulling away. We're all done. Let's now go and get a few more things ready. So we get the fuel pumps on. We can put the seatbelt signs on. Where are the seatbelt signs? Ah. There they go. Seatbelt signs are set.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, this is your captain speaking. My name is Gavin, and I'd like to welcome you on board this Airbus A320neo aircraft. Our flight time today should be as scheduled, and we're not anticipating any delays or any bad weather, so we should have a nice, pleasant, and safe flight for you. In the next few minutes or so, we'd like you to get yourselves seated, sat down safely with your seatbelts fastened, and make sure the aisles are kept clear so the back cabin crew will allow seating other fellow passengers. The ground crew are nearly finishing loading everything into the aircraft, so we look forward to a safe and pleasant flight with you today, and we thank you for choosing to fly with the Easyjet sit down. Thank you.
So, forgot to set the speed. I find this kind of strange. So the tutorial that comes with this with the aircraft tells you that on the for the max speed you set V2. I think that is incredibly low, and I think different airlines have different stops as to whether they set V2 plus 10 or plus 20. I kind of like the V2 plus 20, so I am going to add 20 to that. So that's got us at 150 knots, and I think now we can arm the auto throttle. Or have we done that too soon? You have to do that at a certain point. Do you know what? I'm going to do that after all the engines are started. I'll come back and do that. I'm sure there's a correct time to sort it. Right. So our fuel pumps are all turned on. We're nearly ready to go. Let's do a quick departure brief then, gents, as you've asked for one. So, weather is absolutely fine here in Newcastle. The aircraft is a 737-700, fully serviceable as well. No times to be aware of, and the threats. Nothing too bad here at Newcastle. Nice low MSA, minimum safe altitude is 3,400 feet. Biggest threat, of course, is the pilot. One thing I will just double check. There is a speed restriction on the departure as well. We're going to take off, we're going to push back from stand 10. We'll taxi out via Delta, full length runway, departure holding at Delta 1, and then we have got Newcastle 2, speed restriction there, 180 knots, and then 250 knots. I don't think that 180 knots is going to be a problem for us, particularly as we're going to be holding 150 anyway, until we're a little further away. Plasmid asks, are there 737s in their fleet? Do you mean Easyjet's fleet? There was years back when the company first started, but not anymore. They're now fully Airbus, which is why we're classing this as a retro flight. Peter, you've been a member for 4 months, mate. Thank you so much. Yeah, it says 3 months and counting. 4 months according to YouTube. I'm going to guess YouTube's probably right there. I don't know. Hope you've had a good day, Peter. Hope you've had a day off from keeping the skies above Denmark nice and safe. Rico87, how you doing, mate? I hope you're well. Right, I think we're about ready to go. So, I've got toolbar pushback installed again. I'm just going to sort of pre-plan that in a moment. We're not on VATSIM, so we're not going to make any calls. Let's get the beacon lights or anti-collision lights turned on. Set the brake to rejected takeoff. I think at this point we can arm the auto thrust. That's done, and let's initiate the pushback, and we'll also get the engine started. So I just want to make sure I've got the correct information shown here, because I need to see the N2. Let me pre-plan the push, and we'll get going.
Cabin crew, we're all ready to go, so please arm the doors and cross-check. Thank you.
Took a while to load that, didn't it? I'm guessing it's because it's quite a intense airport. It's a handcrafted airport, so not quite as straightforward as the default one. There we go. So that's all set. Let's request our pushback.
Cockpit to ground.
This is ground. Stand by.
I love the performance of the PMDG. It's easily the best performing aircraft that I've flown here in the sim, for the level of detail that we've got. Pietro, am I looking forward to the A380? Absolutely. Whenever that comes, I cannot wait to fly that thing. We'll have to do a special stream, something like a big overnight one, where I go and kip for 6 hours and you guys chat amongst yourselves. So I think that's pretty much in place.
Okay, sir. The bypass pin is installed. All doors and hatches closed and all ground equipment is removed.
We are cleared for start and push.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
Okay, I was just checking the GPU had indeed been removed, but there we are. The Flying Gamer, hello mate. Yes, it has been a while. Glad to have you. Glad to have you back.
Parking brake.
Right, let's release the parking brake, and we'll let toolbar pushback do its thing.
Parking brakes are released.
Commencing pushback. You can start the engines in sequence.
It will start in the sequence.
So engine 2 first. Set that to ground. Watch the N2 spool up, and at 25% we're going to inject the fuel. Here it comes. Sounds very quiet, doesn't it? Is the 737 cockpit better isolated than the A320, perhaps?
Gentlemen and channel members, on behalf of the crew, I ask that you now please direct your attention to the monitors and cabin crew as we review the emergency procedures. There are 6 emergency exits on this A320neo. Please take a minute to
Oh!
locate the one closest to you.
Did anyone spot the deliberate mistake in the cabin call?
Count the number of rows to the exit. Should the cabin experience a pressure loss, stay calm and listen for instructions from your cabin crew. Oxygen masks will drop down from above your seat. Place the mask over your mouth and nose like this and pull the strap to tighten it. If you are traveling with children, ensure you put your own mask on first before helping others. In the unlikely event of an emergency landing and evacuation, leave all your carry-on luggage and items behind. Life rafts are located beneath your seats. Emergency lighting in the floor will guide you to your nearest exit. We now ask that all carry-on luggage is stowed away safely during the flight.
Okay,
Once we
pushback
get to
completed.
takeoff,
Please set your parking
take a
brake.
moment to review the safety procedures and the safety card in front of you. Electronic devices must now be switched off or turned to airplane mode until
Parking
the
brake set.
instructions it is again safe to use them.
Ground. You may disconnect.
Cabin service will commence when
Okay,
unit
sir.
pilot
Cleared to disconnect. Pin has been removed. See you
now
at the
board
side.
channel at a
Have a good flight.
advantage.
Hey, Marty.
Holding position
Pancakes sound
as
nice.
usual. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you for your attention.
Mouseless, you've bought it. Do you know what? I was just going to say, Mouseless, now you've bought it, you'll be able to enjoy it in about 7 or 8 hours' time. Once it's downloaded. It's not a quick fix. So just wait for engine number 1's start valve to close. There we are. So let's get the generators on. There it is. Come over to the packs, which are up here. Auto, probe heat can come on. Anti-ice not required. APU bleed can come off, which is just here. And now the APU can come off as well. There we are. And I believe we set this to continuous, don't we, for a little bit. Particularly if we're going to be taking off into the clouds. Alright, let's set our flaps to 5 degrees, which if I just move over we can make sure we get that correct. There we go. Flaps are set, and let's set our trim. Now I think normally you can set the trim here in the 737 as soon as you've done the takeoff performance, but being used to the Airbus, we don't do it because until the engines are started, of course, because you need the hydraulic power. You don't here in the 737. So 512. There we go. Master, should you download it overnight? Yeah, that would be my. That would definitely be my recommendation. Flying Gamer, quick question: will you buy X-Plane 12 when it comes out, or stick with Microsoft Flight Simulator? That is a really good question because I had thought about it and I've toyed with it and I don't know. There's so many good aircraft now coming from Microsoft Flight Simulator. Maybe we'll talk about this in the cruise. Yeah, I need to concentrate what I'm doing. So let me continue on. We've set the trim. We don't need to arm the spoilers. Again, that's an Airbus thing. We're about ready to go actually. So let's set our taxi light on. Needle of the Skies, hey mate, how you doing? So taxi light is on. There we go. Can reset the fuel flow. Right, let's taxi to our runway. Parking brakes released. Hopefully you can see just how smooth this is. I mean, I have my frame rates set to limited at 30 anyway, just to reduce the load on the GPU. I don't need any more than 30, particularly when streaming as well. But yeah, it is. It's just so nice. Neil, apparently they use all the lights on takeoff as well. That's fine. The Airbus do as well, but we don't turn all of those on until we've had takeoff clearance. And usually when you're taxiing, if you get stuck behind another aircraft or you're waiting at the threshold, you turn the taxi light off just because you don't want to blind any pilot on final. I don't think he'd thank you for that. Jay Hogg, good evening. You've just arrived in Malaga and made it in time for the takeoff. How was the landing in Malaga? Hope it was good. Okay, so no change to our performance. Engine out procedure, we're not worrying about that. I've not got failures turned on. Departure is the Gurley 3 X-ray and our stop climb is 6,000. We'll turn TCAS TARA on as well when we're ready to line up. Hey Steve, you've been flying this a lot today and it's great fun. It's definitely a learning curve, isn't it? Planes, trains with LA. Is there a takeoff calculator for the 737? I think TopCat does the 737. I don't know how realistic it is, but I think TopCat is an internet-based one that you can use. I've not tested it out yet, but I was kind of disappointed that the PMDG didn't come with one, to be honest. Jay says, "Hi, just bought the new plane. Can't wait to learn it. Is it study level?" Yes, it is. Yes. Xperia, do I like to fly the A320 or the 737? Oh, A320. But I got outvoted for tonight's stream on our Discord server. So what I hadn't done was check the flight controls. So we can see just on the lower display, full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, and then we'll do a rudder check, full right, rudder check, sorry, full left, and then full right, neutral. So we've done our flight controls, we've done our departure briefing, our flap setting is 5, takeoff data is all confirmed, transponder is set, and I'm now going to resist the urge to say Ecam memo, takeoff no blue. Dark Fury, bonjour, hope you're well. Cheetah says, one of the things you like about the 737 is the ground speeds when taxiing. You don't like how the A320 speeds up so fast. That's a real thing though, Cheetah. The Neo engines and the A320, they do roll away. So that is realistic. So we've just got the final taxiway to go. Is there one or two here? Quick check of the charts. Oh, we can take either. They both lead to Delta 1. Nice light wind as well. I think the steering in this, the taxiing in this, is far nicer as well than the Airbus. But the fly-by-wire is still being developed, of course, so perhaps once they get it to a level that they're happy with, should that day ever arrive, they can then work on optimizing it. Okay, so our approach path looks clear. Let's go and get ourselves lined up. We'll turn on VNav and LNav. Auto thrust is it was already armed. Auto thrust is armed. Let's get all our lights on for takeoff. Pop the logo lights as well. Why not? Would you set wheel well lights? I have no idea. Jay, the built-in air traffic control changes your frequency randomly, which is very annoying when flying VATSIM. Make sure all AI assist is turned off. Otherwise, yeah, it will do that, and that is annoying.
Cabin crew, seat for takeoff, please.
Plasmid says that the fly-by-wire team's goal is to make the A320 Neo study level. Yeah, that's right. It's just how long is it going to take? Such an awesome time of day to fly in the simulator. That low red sun coming through, you can see it glaring into the flight deck. It's beautiful. Oh, a little bit of oversteer just there. Let's just correct that slightly. Oh, we have some other live traffic taxiing out to the runway as well. I hope they take off from the same runway that we're taking off from. Wouldn't be it's not unheard of, is it? So, we're going to set 40% N1, and then we will hit the power button, the power screw. Alright, here we go. Start the clock. 40% N1. Release the brakes. Hit the power button. And off we go. A little bit of forward pressure. Airspeed's alive.
80 knots.
100 knots.
V1. Rotate. Positive rate of climb.
Right. Gear up.
Gears up. And then once passing about 400 feet RA, we can engage autopilot 1. There we go. That's done. VNAV came off there. Not quite sure what went wrong there, but we've now got that back engaged. Keep an eye on that speed. There was that speed restriction as well on the way out, which was 180 knots, I think it was, throughout the first turn. Here it comes. So we've passed the acceleration altitude. We can now go to flaps 1. Make sure we do go flaps 1. I need to put the lights on. And then on passing number 1, we can clean the flaps up entirely. There we go. Good, so that's all cleaned up. The aircraft should now target 250 knots past that constraint, which it has just jumped and is doing. Needle of the skies, max 20 degrees on the climb out. Was that me? Did I over-rotate that, or was that an autopilot thing? Because at the moment I am getting that autopilot turned on quite early for obvious reasons. I'll tell you what I didn't do. TCAS, TRA. Let's just turn up some of the panel lights as well, so we can see what we're doing. There it is. Past transition altitude. And with no ATC, of course, let's just go ahead and clear ourselves up to our cruising altitude today, which was, do you know what, I'm going to have to double check. Was it 33? Yeah, flight level 330. Bit of an obscure route as well today. It takes you down most of England and then across out over the North Sea. Now, I've got that warning that we had the other day. What have I missed? That display source. Is that, that's up here somewhere, isn't it? And there. There we go, we remembered that from the other day. Okay, so we're still bound by that constraint, so if we now pop in level change, we should start to climb, holding 250 knots. There we go, level change is my open climb, open descent. Jay says the performance of the Boeing is better than the Airbus, no doubt, but Airbus is better. I tend to agree with you there, Jay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll shortly begin our cabin service as we continue to climb to our cruising altitude. You may now use your electronic devices. Rechargeable battery packs are also available to purchase from our cabin crew. You can also ask them about joining
Ooh, I tell you what we didn't do. We didn't put the strobes on. There we go. So middle of the sky says, yeah, we got to 25 degrees, lost a little bit of airspeed. You don't need VNAV initially, just toga. And then get to 1500 feet and then bug up on the speed. Okay, great tips there. And I'm sure Needle of the Skies wouldn't mind me telling you guys that he is type rated on this aircraft, so he's worth listening to. Nick says, or you can press the altitude intervention button. Now, this is a great question for Needle of the Skies. What is the difference between the two? Between the level change and the alt intervention? There must be some subtle differences, which I'd love to know. And you're the guy to ask. Quite hazy, isn't it? Something else Microsoft Flight Simulator does well. With the amount of moisture in the air. Tigros, what a nice view. It is, isn't it? I quite like that. It's a screensaver view, that. Rosen213, hi, do you use mouse over the autopilot controls for the stream, or do you have a physical home cockpit unit? No, I'm using the mouse. I am using the mouse, yeah. One day I dream of having a home cockpit, but I might have to be retired before that happens. So Needle of the Sky says altitude intervention will override the altitudes in the flight management computer. Oh, okay. So let me see if I can get my head around this properly. So what we were there, we had got flight level 330 set up here. We were constrained at flight level 80. So using altitude intervention would have overridden the FMC until the next constraint, or would it override all of them? And then would level change just ignore all of them regardless of how many were in front of us? I think that's the bit I'm just trying to get my head around there. If alt intervention overrides the altitudes in the flight management computer, doesn't level change do that as well? I think I'm slowly getting confused and thinking they do very, very similar things. Rosen213 says he went to see the Lancaster flyover today. Yeah, I wish it had come a bit closer to us. Sadly it didn't. Right, well now we're above flight level 100, so let's pop VNAV back on and we can start to accelerate a little bit. Level change is like open climb. See, that to me makes sense. And I like that, which is probably why I prefer level change rather than the altitude intervention, which I'm still, if I'm honest, a little unsure how it differs. Triple seven, good evening, mate. Yeah, we need to secure that landing gear. The reason I can't do that is because I haven't set up my hardware correctly. So, in order to do this, I'm going to have to quickly put it down, quickly put it up, wait for the red lights to go out, and then we'll secure it. There we go. Anyway, 777, hope you're well. Ooh, is that a full moon as well? So, got a little bit of a headwind slowing us down at the minute as well, as we can see. Jem says, flew straight over our house. Amazing. Let me just have a quick look in the legs page. Yeah, so Upton's quite close to where I am, as is Mammal. Neil says, alt intervention ignores the next constraint or allows you to go into descent before top of descent, 1,000 feet per minute before intercepting the profile. So that almost sounds again very much like a little bit of managed descent in the Airbus. If you start your descent sooner than the top of descent point, it'll just descend you at 1,000 feet per minute until you intercept the profile. Jonathan, yeah, there's a lunar eclipse tomorrow night. Is there? Oh, nice. Okay. Does anyone know how you go out into FPA on the 737? Is that a thing? Flight path angle on the 737? There must be some sort of way of doing it because some approaches have to be flown that way. Jay says, wait, so how does the gear position do in the middle and up? So, I think the landing, it's just secured there. I don't know what that means from a technical point of view. And obviously you've got up and down, which is self-explanatory. It's a Boeing thing. I don't know if Christian's in the chat tonight, but let me turn down the standby. 1,000 feet to go. Rico says, did you already find the landing gear manual extraction in the floor behind me? Nice detail from PMDG. No, I haven't. Is that down here somewhere? Oh. Look at that. Yeah, that is a nice detail. What's really nice is it's quite dirty. Hey Matthew, how you doing, mate? Hope you're well. Hey Barry, welcome on board. Right, so we have been flying for 30 minutes. Our flight time is about 1 hour 10, I think. In fact, on the progress page, enable 250 knots at Woody. Why is that? We'll go through and have a look at that in a little bit. So, what should we should arrive in Brussels, according to this anyway, at around 21:04 Zulu time. That'd be quite nice. That's not too late. Needle of the skies, up in the gear selector will keep the hydraulic force on the gear. Off, locks it into place. There you go. So Leeds Bradford Airport, I think, is just down here somewhere. If we can stick our head out of the window. Oh, there it is. There's Leeds Bradford Airport for anybody that knows it. How many of you, when flying, get as close as you can to the window to try and look down like that? Matthew said probably because the cost index is too low and the economical descent speed is less than 250 knots. Never have that problem in an Airbus. Dark Fury, yeah, we've got Doncaster on screen as well over here. Yeah, so Mammal. I don't live too far away from Mammal. If it was daylight, I might be able to identify roughly where we live. Look at this band of cloud across there. Stunning, isn't it? Right. I know what I need to do as well, because I always forget. This will be more important when on VATSIM. Right. Let's try and align the heading up. That's one thing the CRJ does do that the Boeing doesn't. Keep the heading knob aligned with your actual track. So, at Rimto then, let's see what fuel we should have. So, what did we take extra? We've got extra tonight, about 800 kilogram extra fuel, which means we should have about 4.3 tons of fuel. We've got 4.2, that's concerning. We'll see how well it goes as we continue the flight. Interestingly enough, for anyone flying on SimBrief who uses obviously the default 737 profile of SimBrief, I think it's worth, I haven't done this tonight incidentally, but I think it's worth setting a fuel performance factor of around 5%, plus 5%. That is a strange little detour, isn't it? Over Doncaster Airport, or rather around Doncaster Airport. We didn't want to keep you awake dark, that's why. Oh, it's part of the airway, isn't it? There it is. Yeah, not if an aircraft's overflying Mammal, I can usually see them. Interesting that you can see the contrail from this position. It's forming quite early on compared to the Airbus. Obviously, I'm presuming that's just the way the manufacturers have designed the aircraft. In the simulator, not in real life, of course. Needle of the Sky says, Dark Fury, the red trigger overrides the lock on the ground. You don't need to use it to retract normally. It stops you being able to make a belly flop on stand. I'm sure no one has ever done that, right? Darren Highlights, hi mate, says, been flying this beauty for a few days now. How have you been finding the performance as the flight progresses? Seems to hit me a little hard sometimes. Well, when we first cracked out the 737, we were probably in it for about 3 hours and we didn't have any issues, so that seemed to work okay. Oh, look at the reflection of the cabin in the window. That's neat. I like that. Just trying to work out. Where's Doncaster? Where's Donny? Just coming up there on our sort of 10 o'clock position. Whether we'll see it or not, I'm not sure. One of these roads will be the Great Yorkshire Way, a bypass that they've built to the new airport. Pietro Capu Otto. Apologies for the name pronunciation, but thank you so much for your $3.87 donation. Says thanks for all the amazing content on your channel, Gavin. Cheers. You are more than welcome. Thank you so much. It's very, very kind of you. I was hoping to get a glimpse of Doncaster. Now Doncaster is 10 miles over to our left, so yeah, down there somewhere. There's the Humber estuary. What if we see the lights on the Humber Bridge? There it is. There's Doncaster. Just see it. If we just hop to the back of the plane. There we go. Doncaster Airport. Probably not much live traffic in there at the moment. Lynn Anderson, good evening. Could someone tell me what is meant by Steam Edition? So you can buy Microsoft Flight Simulator through the Microsoft Store or via the Steam platform. So obviously Steam Edition is just purchased through that rather than through the Microsoft Store. Neil says apparently Ryanair pilots never used the speed button on the autopilot and the first officer didn't even know what it did. It wouldn't surprise me if they never use it. I think that's the thing. Again, going back to the simplicity of the Airbus, there are so many different modes here. The difference between M1 mode and speed mode, well, I prefer speed. I know what speed is. Speed is a value that I set here. N1, I'm presuming, is whatever thrust the flight computer has decided to command at that particular point. LNAV and VNAV, that's self-explanatory. We talked a little bit already about level change. Altitude hold, again, I don't. I'm sure there must be a reason for that. So what's the Airbus equivalent of altitude hold aside from level off? I think it just does exactly the same as the level off. So you can be on your way down, and if some AFTC says stop descent, then that's the button to press. Jonathan, can you hear all the radio calls to and from live traffic? Yes, you can if you've got it turned on, but I've turned off Microsoft's default air traffic control just because, well, I don't like it. Quaffle says M1 is like using the maximum N1 limit to set the climb. Okay, yeah, I can get my head around that. Neil says the average crude winds are also set from the top of descent on the operational flight plan. You remember this being queried in a previous stream. Well, in that case, can I go ahead and edit those? Because I wouldn't even know where we put those in, to be honest. Descent winds, maybe? Oh no, that's requesting descent winds. That's going to be great when that actually works. Lewis didn't know Easyjet had 737s. They don't anymore. They used to, but they don't anymore. Which is why we're calling this a retro flight. So let's have a look at the arrival into Brussels, shall we? Dark Fury, can we get an external view? Of course we can, mate. Look at this. Let me just come away a little bit. What the heck's that? Looks like a UFO. Oh, it's not. I think it's a contrail from another aircraft. There we go. Sun's just setting behind us. And here's our retro Easyjet livery. with nobody on board, if you look through the windows. Can't zoom in far enough to see what aircraft that is. Dark, no, I haven't unveiled that yet. I hadn't had a chance to download it. I've been busy this evening, so I completely missed that opportunity. But don't worry, mate. It will be in for the next one. Runway 2001 says Ryanair seems to be the main airline using 737s, certainly in Europe, yes. Okay, so this approach into Brussels, let's have a look. So we are going to be on the Woody 7 Alpha arrival from Woody. Max speed at Woody is 250 knots. Let's go ahead and check that out. Yeah, 250 knots. Now let's have a look at what the VNAV's going to need. So Antwerp, and then Bruno wants to be down to 3,000 feet, and then we can get down to 2,000 feet just here. Well, that's their minimums, of course, so above 2,000 and then above 3,000 and above 2,000. And then at Fox 2 Lima Zulu, is that in here? Fox 2 Lima Zulu, we want to actually be at 2,000. Let's just have a look at the speeds as well that it's got keyed in for that. They look good. I'm happy with those speeds as well, so this is all programmed quite nicely. Let's check the track is 249. Let's go ahead and set that in the course. There we go. And then we also need to set the ILS frequency as well. Can't forget to do that. Something else we need to do manually. 11035. There we go. We'll keep an eye on that fuel as well. There you go. Our top of descent is... well, how many miles away is that? Again, Airbus, the range rings, it tells you, doesn't it? Missing a little trick there. Tom, why did it say earlier unable to meet 250 knots at Woody? I think that was something to do with the descent profile, as Matthew said, and a very low cost index, but it's EasyJet. That's why we have a very low cost index. Lewis Cotolo, hope you have a nice evening. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hugfler, the Descent Wins downloads does work. Yes, it does, if you've downloaded your SimBrief flight plan, which I haven't. Plasmix, anyone know why my 737 always loads on in a powered state instead of cold and dark? What you need to do for that is you need to go to the menu page. Is it the PMDG setup? And then there you go. You need to change the startup state just here, and then every time you load it, it will load cold and dark. Bear in mind, though, as we discovered the other day, that liveries affect this. So this livery, this Easyjet livery, when I load it in, it's set up to cold and dark. If I load into the default PMDG livery, it'll probably load up with the all engines running. You have to set it for each livery. Aviation Ace, hi mate. Easyjet is your most flown airline in your life. You did not know they flew Boeing aircraft before. Yeah, they did when they first started. They even had some 737-700s too. Squareness, are we flying to the Aerosoft Brussels? We are indeed. Jen, do you think the lower display goes off when you don't use it? Yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly in need of it. We can just... oh, hang on. There you go. William FS, we can use fixed strings. Yeah, and it wasn't that I was... I mean, obviously we can put fixed strings in, which isn't a bad shout if we want to put... if we want to put Brussels in there, and just give us a 30-mile radius. I like 30 miles because I know by that point I should be below 10,000 feet. So yeah, that's in there. What I wanted to know was these rings here. When you set the distance in the Airbus, it'll tell you sort of 20, 40, 80, etc. Squareness, is Brussels spelt wrong in the title? Let me go and change that. There we go. Done for you. Oh, a needle. Yeah, we've not turned the auto brake off, have we? Could probably look at setting that for the landing. Peter, so when am I going to fly the blooming thing on VATSIM? Hey, when I come and visit you in Denmark, I'll be in my Airbus. I'll not be in this. I think it's going to be a while before I'm happy doing the doing a flight in this. What I might do is a few sneaky ones offline. I say offline, I mean non-streaming. You might hear me. You might hear me flying for some rogue airline if you're on VATSIM and recognise my voice. And think, hang on. When I announced myself at the gate as a 737-700. Aviation Ace, no problem, mate. Glad you've come on board this evening. Oh, there is a number there. Hang on. Oh, that's 80 miles. Was that there before? Did I just miss it? Right, so that's 80 miles. If we jump out 160 miles, there we are. Oh, so fair enough. It is there. I apologise. Andrew, why isn't there a Newcastle departure called the Way I Man? I could fly it every time. Well, it's gone dark rather quickly now, hasn't it? Peter, I know, mate. You've joined VATSIM for us. We're going to have to come to Denmark. Do you know one of my favourite airports to fly into with the flight hamper scenery is Copenhagen. Awesome scenery there. Dwell Flonker, good evening, mate. Or afternoon, where you are, maybe. Any 737 stream is a good one. Couldn't miss it. Well, I kind of got outvoted. I put it open to a vote on our Discord server, and 737 won. Ronald, good evening to you. Right, so I've set up everything we need to for the actual arrival. If I just go into plan mode and just bring this in, let me just check everything looks good on here. Yeah, that looks really nice. that matches up with the chart. So in which case, let me just plan how I want to proceed with this. So we come in at Antwerp, and then from Antwerp we're at Brno. So I think we want to be looking at doing about 220 knots at Brno, which means we can start setting some flaps there, and then we'll have 11 miles to run as we get down here. So if we can get down to 180 knots, flaps 5 for the glide slope. I hope that offers enough drag. Actually, flaps 2 for the glide is normal. But yeah, by Charlie Fox 2 Lima Zulu, if we can get flaps 15 out after that, and then we'll be doing all right as we get down. There's the plan. And then after we've vacated, we will vacate hopefully on Charlie 4 or Charlie 2, and then we'll taxi via the outer all the way around, and we park here at the peasant stand. It's where they dump the Easyjet aircraft in Brussels. Neil, average cruise winds are set at the top of the climb. Yeah, I think I'd done that anyway. I knew what you meant. Top of descent wouldn't be any good for the cruise winds. Just keeping an eye on that fuel. Andrew says, just finished Boston to Luton. That's is that done in real life, that one? Long haul, glad to be on the ground. Quaffle says, Heathrow director was extremely busy today, did a great job and was under lots of stress by people on the ground trying to interrupt, asking for clearances. That is why I do love the pre-departure clearance feature. Diane says your log value on the PDF is yellow because it doesn't match with the first officer's. Yeah, well, my first officer's not here, that's why. He's probably laid in his mat licking himself. For anyone that doesn't know, I refer to our dog as the First Officer George. There we go. Is that better? That helped with the OCD. Right, we'll set auto brake 2 for that. Rosen213, what are my thoughts if Microsoft enabled Copilot control with another online player? Well, Your Controls does that, I think. I've never tried it, but apparently it's quite good. Neil of the Sky says, plan sounds good. That's high praise indeed. Good enough for me. Andrew Curry says the LL Airlines. LL fly from, did you say Boston to Luton? Really? I did not know that. Tom B, does VNAV take you down to flap speed as well? Yes, I think it does. I think it's the autothrust that controls that, but VNAV knows what speeds it needs to be at when, so it kind of works in anticipation of that. Dane says, how did you get the background lights behind the McDo keys? Can we call it that? Oh, which one was it? It wasn't that one. Was it the main panel? There, is it that one? No. Which one is it for the? Is it one over here? Is it the panel brightness? That one, I think. OKTM reminded me to set the heading. Oh yes. Yeah, so my fuel's looking a little dodgy, isn't it? I think definitely flying with 5, 6, maybe even 7 100% fuel factor in SimBrief is a must. Kevin says, hey, didn't think you got time to learn the 737. Thanks for looking forward to the 737 content. Kevin, I'm learning on the job with something which I'm sure most pilots don't do. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. They, a lot of airlines, particularly for Airbus, you learn in simulators. You spend time in the simulators. You then do 5 takeoff and landings. Then you're good to go and carry passengers as long as your trainers signed you off. And me, well, I've not done 5 takeoff and landings in this thing yet. Is that the moonlight reflection? Indeed. Neil says your autopilot is just a sea of green. Must admit, it doesn't make it that easy to see, does it? Just quickly looking at it. Because the actual buttons are green, those that are activated are also green. You'd have thought maybe a different button would have, a different colour would have helped. Right, top of descent is here. About 30 miles away, looking at that. Couple of ships there in the ocean. Oh, is that another one? Looks like it. Nice to see.
Ladies and gentlemen, take advantage today of some fantastic savings and offers from our in-flight magazine. This can be found in the back pocket of the seat in front of you. These shopping ideas and gifts offer you tax-free savings, with many items not available anywhere else and exclusive to you during your flight today. Our cabin crew will be around shortly to also offer you the chance to purchase airline lottery tickets. There is a chance to win some fantastic prizes, including cash and holidays. We accept payment in cash or credit and debit cards. Thank you for your support of this channel.
Right, our top of descent really isn't far away now, is it? Yeah, there we go. 20 miles away. So, have we got the QNH for Brussels? I'm meant to be able to send that off, aren't I? In fact, where on earth do I do that? Is that in the FS actions? Nope. Ah, could someone give me the QNH for Brussels quickly, please? Before we head down there. Where do we get that from? No idea. Right, flaps 30 then for the landing. 1, 2, 7. Do we need to set those on both sides as well? Why have I got the forecast page? I don't want the forecast page. Come off the forecast page. Why can't I get onto the approach ref page? Where's that normally given us? Right, so we need to reset the altitude here. We're going to head down to... where was it? Heading down initially, we can set that down to 3,000. There we go. And down we go. Oh, there it is. It's the bottom left. Thank you. There we are. Approach. Oh, it does set it both sides. That's okay. I didn't know if you had to do it in both of those to set your flat limits. Peter QNH1020, thank you so much. Now, can I set this separately on here? Or are they all linked? Oh, they are linked. Right, well, do you know what? I'll leave that in standard for the moment then, until we get a little bit lower down. Okay, so our VAP speed, our approach speed is going to be 133 today. Make a quick note of that, we'll need that later. And look at this, it's holding that line absolutely perfect. Kevin, how do I like this plane compared to the fly-by-wire? I'm obviously more familiar with Airbus, but you know, it's fun learning something new. Howling Crazy, hi mate, how you doing? Howling Crazy says you believe you can still set the QNH on the top barrow and it will save it till you need to change it to local. Fair enough. William FS in Simber, if you use auto for the cost index, well, because we're flying Easyjet, we're using 4 or 8, which is their two most common numbers. So how did we say we get the weather? Was it in the menu page? FMC index. I just can't remember. I have seen it, so it's definitely there. I find there's lots of sub-menus within the different main menus of this, which confuses me sometimes. What on earth is auto cruise? We'll not press it just in case. I just wanted to check what the weather was there. I think, looking at the weather outside, it's going to be Cat 1 anyway. So those minimums are 350. Let's go ahead and set those. There we go. William says it's in the approach page. Is it? I don't think it is. No. Dane says, look at the difference of your current and then your landing fuel and subtract the difference from your weight. It gives you more accurate ref. Yeah, we've had discussions about this. We actually had two, I can't remember, 2 or 3 in real life 737 pilots on this. Some did that, some didn't do that. So I guess what we're doing now is we calculated it at our at sort of our current weight. We're obviously going to be a little lighter because we'll burn a little bit more fuel. Not that much, bear in mind. We're just gliding down now. So we're just being conservative, if nothing else. Howling Crazy, welcome back to YouTube. Christian, good evening, sir. How the devil are you? Right, we're inbound now to Woody. Somewhere in the world there is a Buzz and a Jesse waypoint and an Andy waypoint. I'm going to guess in America somewhere. There's a speed restriction at Woody of 250 knots and we're holding that nicely. Defuse if you want the forecast, it's on the descent page, is it? And then press forecast. Where? No, I just want to be able to request the METAR, which I thought you could do. I know I've seen it somewhere, but I just cannot for the life of me remember where. Danny, so you're still going strong, hand flying this piece, but if someone knows the procedure in the 737 flying with a faulty IRS, then let him know. Pitch darkness indeed doesn't help. No, quite right too. Mamet, it should be on the ACARS page in real life. Yeah, and I've seen that somewhere, but I don't know where it is. I'm sure I've seen the weather page linked in there, and I can't remember where it is. Because D-Link and the though they're not modelled just yet, so yeah, it's unless you can only do it on the ground, but that wouldn't make much sense now, would it?
Ladies and gentlemen, from the cockpit, we're now descending towards our destination. There's no delays ahead of us, so we should have you on the ground very shortly. If you could please assist the cabin crew by passing the messages you may have as they come around. And for your safety, please make sure your seatbelts are fastened, the electronic devices are switched on, locked into airplane mode, and the aircraft toilets will also be out of use. We hope you've enjoyed the flight, and we'll have you down on the ground safely shortly.
Squabble says you can't. The way the 737 was coded was in I was going to say C sharp then, from a music point of view, or something that doesn't have connectivity to the internet. Needle the size tune into the 80s. What, the good old-fashioned way? What is the 80s frequency? 13248. I bet it wouldn't even work because I've not got ATC turned on. I suppose what I could do, I could cheat I think if you go here, press the METAR button. There it is. Cav OK. 0204 1020. There we go. Oh, it's much more realistic in the Airbus. Ooh, there was just a little pause there in the sim. I don't know if you saw that. I'm going to bet that was that might have been while the Brussels airport was loading in. Diamondkin, we will be landing shortly. Yeah, there's our airport. We're on our way. Needle of the Sky is so naughty, I know. Still think there's some things that PMDG could have done to help with so-called real ops flights. Ooh, some live traffic up there. There it is. I must admit, I love VATSIM and I don't think I'd ever fly the Airbus without it. But I do like live traffic. I just think it's a really nice touch. Howling Crazy, yeah, this will be the Aerosoft Brussels that we're coming into. So profile, of course, absolutely bang on, as we can see there. That looks nice, doesn't it? Another departure out of Brussels, presumably. Okay, so we're making this left turn now, and this takes us inbound towards Antwerp. There's Antwerp, as we can just see. And we're just passing 11,500 feet. So if we just check the legs page, we'll see Antwerp flight level 70 or above, then at Brno above 3000, but that's the really important one. Fox 2 Lima Zulu, we want to be at 2000 feet. Coming up on 10,000, let's get our landing lights on. And we can check as well, of course, the speed restriction. So at Antwerp, we can see it's now starting to just level us off. So we're getting high on the profile a little bit, but that's okay. It's already taken that into account. And that's as we're starting to look at slowing down at Antwerp for the speed. 220 knots. With a mile to go, it's not going to be doing too bad at all, looking at that. So now we're inbound towards Bruno. Quick check of the charts. Bruno's just here. This is where we're going to start getting our aircraft configured and getting some flaps out, etc. Drag required, yes. I was expecting to see something like that because it's struggling to maintain the profile and lose speed. So, let's throw some speed brakes out. The difference there between Airbus and Boeing is quite amusing. In the Boeing it'll tell you drag required. In the Airbus it just yells at you and says more drag. That has not yet been simulated in the fly-by-wire, but I'm sure that is to come. Okay, so I think now we can start, or at least according to the PMDG tutorial, from below 220 knots we can start bringing flaps in. So we'll go flaps 1. And just need to learn these. There's so many to learn though, that's the thing. 210 is flaps 10, 15, 195, etc. Speed still bleeding off ever so slightly. That's okay. And while I'm still learning the aircraft, I don't mind being configured a little bit earlier than perhaps the pros do it. So this far out we probably wouldn't want to slow down too much, would we? So at this point then, I'm presuming we can go into level change. I'm going to keep that speed up. I don't want to slow down too much at the moment because we're still 20 miles out from the airport, and trundling along at 180 knots isn't good. So now, just the same as I would do in the Airbus, I'm just going to reduce the rate of descent a little bit as well. There's the glide slope. So 800 feet per minute is fine for now. Just keep it on the glide. If we start to see it moving down, then of course we can intervene. Let's set the standard pressure, which was the local pressure 1020. There we go. And from here we should be able to intercept the ILS. So I'm going to go ahead and arm the approach. We will set 5 degrees of flaps. And the platform altitude again is 2,000 feet, so we can lower that even more. And there is our runway that I plan on landing on. So Needle of the Skies and Robin says we can stay in VNAV and push the speed intervention to keep into selector speed if you wish. And Christian's asked the question, which I'm still not 100% with, what's the difference between speed intervention and level change? It's a good question. It's probably one of those things which is very easy to understand when you see someone do it in the flight deck. 14 miles out.
Cabin crew, about 15 minutes to landing if you can prepare the cabin, thank you.
Let's get both autopilots engaged, shall we? 12-mile final. Right, here comes the glide slope.
Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be relieved to know we are about to land. Please make sure you are seated with your belts fastened.
So let's reduce speed and set 15 degrees of
Please
flaps
turn off all
below
electronic
195.
devices after landing. Thank you.
Although if we set 15 degrees of flaps, memory serves, that's when we get a big alarm if we haven't got the gear down. So let's go ahead and do that. Landing gears coming down. 15 degrees of flaps. Moment, speed brake is up. Yep. Now as we're getting closer, let's reduce our speed to our approach speed 133. And I don't know if it's anything like Airbus, but we get all our lights on once the gears are down. Below 165 then, let's set our 30 degrees of flaps. And then we're established by 1,000 feet. There we go, I'm happy and fully configured. Speed brake is armed. And then when I dare, all I have to do now is disengage autopilot and try and bring her in. Does ignition go to continuous? There we go. Let's set that. Is that a continuous or is that a flat? Do you know what? It was already at continuous because I forgot to turn it off. Right, here we go. Autopilot disengaged. I have control.
approaching minimums.
Just drifted off that centre line. This is where I miss fly-by-wire technology. Oh, a little stutter there with the scenery.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Oh, the scenery didn't help there, did it? But never mind, we got down. Auto brake and reverse idle doing its job. 80 knots reverses off. Manual brake. And let's vacate.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have now arrived at our destination. The crew will now commence preparing the aircraft for deboarding. Can passengers please remain in your seats with your seat belts fastened until the captain turns off the seat belt signs. You may now turn on your phones and electronic devices. Thank you for choosing to fly with us today, and please consider becoming a channel member to receive extra benefits on your future flights with us. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Right, let's taxi to stand, shall we? This aircraft's going to turn right in my direction, I'm guessing. TCAS can come off as well. Do you know what? I need the dome lights because I can't see what I'm turning on and off. There we go. Clean up the aircraft. Needle of the skies, that is a great tip. When crossing the threshold, then throttle to idle. Keep the eyes on the end of the runway and check the center, let it settle. That's interesting because I was doing what you do in the Airbus, which is when you're at 30 feet RA, then you would close the throttle and initiate the flare. So if you're saying that do it perhaps just a tad earlier, say around 50 feet if you're crossing the piano keys, then that's a good tip. With regards to taking off the auto thrust, at which point would you guys normally do that? Or because again, difference between Airbus and Boeing. Your Airbus will only, the auto thrust will only work if you're in the climb detent, whereas obviously here I'm presuming we disconnected the auto thrust as I want to actually retard the thrust and close it off fully, which in this case I did at 30 knots. I don't know if different airlines have different SOPs with regards to that. But anyway, aside from a little stutter, which was a little bit annoying on landing, but it is quite FPS and resource heavy, this airport, isn't it? We got down. Robin says you shouldn't land 737 with auto throttle engaged. Turn it off with the autopilot. I'm not sure if I'm brave enough yet. This Needle of the Skies is just attested to. Von McLean, good evening, sir. The scenery here at this airport is absolutely stunning, though. Definitely by far the best airport of all of them in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Right, need to work out where we're going. That's outer 6 Bravo 3. Yeah, that's the one. we can then take the inner 6 and inner 5, which takes us to our Easyjet stands in Brussels. Christian. Geek. So the Airbus auto throttle comment wasn't quite right for the Airbus. It also works when the throttles are not in the climb detent, but the max usable thrust is capped if you go below the climb detent. Okay, you knew what I meant, Christian. I know you did, fella. Now our stands are, have we got numbers for them? Between 120 and 138. Needle of the Sky says generally disengage autopilot when we're ready, then disengage the auto thrust on short final. Fly the aircraft by eyes, flicking between the runway and the speed, just like a light aircraft. Yeah, it's a very different technique, isn't it? How amazing is this scenery? So that's inner 4, our stands are on inner 3. So Robin says, as far as you know, Boeing say that whenever you hand fly, disconnect the auto thrust as well. Sorry, auto throttle, because of the pitch power couple. Needle of the Skies, fab flight again. Thanks for the entertainment. No, thank you for the help as always. Right, what's our stand numbers here? 148. Oh no, further. I think that's still the main terminal building. We're not allowed to park there. Howling Crazy, the flight crew training manual. There's the Ofcom, which is the flight crew operating manual, then the FCTM, the flight crew training manual. There's loads of them. Right, so now, oh, is he coming to meet us? Is there a guy there in a high-vis jacket? Indeed there is. Right then, that's us. Danny, yeah, I might as well still park in the right spot, hadn't I? A little further. That'll do. Awesome. Do you know what I didn't do? Start the APU. Parking brake set. What a lovely red glow that bulb gives you. APU's coming on, and then we'll shut everything down. I wish I got the kind of PC. Has anybody got the kind of PC that can run this airport on full spec with everything turned up to maximum, including all the ground traffic and everything like that? I bet it is absolutely amazing when all that's there. Wonderful. Right, APU is up and running. So if we, I'm presuming we can turn on the generators for the APU. And as they're running, let's shut those down. Turn on the dome light so I can actually see what I'm doing. Where is the dome light? It's is it up here somewhere? There we go. Oh, that's better. Right, that's done. Let's get the fuel pumps off. Not that one. And can we have some ground power yet? Which means we need to go to our is it the menu page, FS Actions, Ground Services, and set those. GPU cart, get that set. We can also turn off the seatbelt signs, and the anti-collision lights can come off as well. Ground power is being requested. Does anyone need the lavatory? Don't need the fuel truck. And it's going to be stairs for today, which means they're going to need a bus as well. That's the problem when you're parking in the cheap spots. That'll do. There you go, guys. So another PMDG flight. We're almost getting used to them, aren't we? With thanks to you guys in the chat. Who knows? Maybe we'll get on VATSIM soon. But not just yet. Alright guys, that's me done. I'm afraid for the weekend. I'm away most of tomorrow. Might be back tomorrow night. It all depends on what time that's going to be, so I'm afraid I can't promise that. If not, it is going to be Monday, perhaps before you next see or hear anything from me. Fingers crossed. Hope you guys have had a great weekend. Have a great Sunday tomorrow. Thank you to those of you who have donated and contributed to the channel's upkeep during our stream this evening, and to the Easyjet in Pilot channel members, as always, a huge thanks for your continued support. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Thanks to those of you who have helped us out with information with the 737. Loving the learning curve. Have a great Sunday tomorrow, everybody. Speak to you all very soon. Good night.